first of all, I'm Reverend Beverley Strutt. I am officially the spiritual director here for Centers for Spiritual Living East Hawaii. Yes! And if anybody wants to know if my feet have hit the ground yet, hell no. Not happening. I'm not going to let that happen. Yes, I had to dive straight back into work. So that's just what we do. But it was just brilliant. And this week has been truly, truly amazing. And one more time, I'm going to get not too specific today. I'm going to do that later in the week. Thank you to everybody whose hands touched the ceremony this last Saturday. Thank you to everybody that showed up. Just thank you. It was like, if anybody needed a wedding, man, I got the wedding. It was brilliant. And I got married, you know, so to all of you. And I am here for you. Whenever you need me, I'm absolutely here. So, welcome to everybody that was here before. Welcome to anybody that finds themselves here for the first time today. As Dennis said, if you resonate with our craziness and our kind of special language, I don't believe he quoted me correctly. But if you guys know, busted, man. If you guys know about me, I'm a sports person. And yes, Super Bowl Sunday is a special day for me. And I don't believe that if I can't stay, that anybody else should stay. Right? Next year we'll do a party. We'll just do it here. And that'll be good. So if you do resonate with us, welcome. Welcome home. And for anybody out there watching us for the first time or for the 100th time, welcome home as well. All right, so this is the month of curiosity. This is the new Science of Mind magazine for February. Hold on, I didn't mark it. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have marked it, but I didn't. That's my article. They published me. East Hawaii is on the map, baby. No, it's been on the map for many, many years. But yes, it's the first time Science of Mind magazine has published me because I got to be part of the visioning group that did the global themes for this year. I happen to write the themes for the month of February. So you will know that last night, yesterday when I prepared for my talk, I thought it was going to be easy because I wrote them, right? I wrote the outlines. I chose all the quotes and everything. For everybody else in CSL, I looked at the stuff. I was like, who the hell wrote this? What was she thinking? Yes, it was July last year, but what was she thinking? No. As a matter of fact, it made it very, very easy for me because curiosity. And as I think most of you know, one of my favorite practices, spiritual practices, is awe. And so when we if we want to be in awe, curiosity is a great way for us to get there. And before I get into that, because you know I love a good story, especially if it's got some humor into it, I read this one, and this is about being curious about one's life and about one's son's life in particular. So there was this old country preacher who had a teenage son. And the boy was growing up, and he was getting a little concerned about the boy because he wasn't showing any real interest in anything specific for his life moving forward. So he was like, so one day the boy was out, he was at school, he was near to graduating, and the preacher decided that he was going to put some things in the boy's room and see what attracted him, see what grew his curiosity. So he put a Bible, he put a silver dollar, he put a bottle of whiskey, and a Playboy magazine. All right, he decided that he would hide behind the door and watch to see which one the son was drawn to. He figured that if he went to the Bible, great, he was going to follow in his father's footsteps as a preacher. He thought that if he went and he took the dollar, that he was going to be a businessman, and that would be great as well. If he picked up the whiskey, he was going to be a low-down, dang old drunk. And, he was like, oh, what a sad thing that would be. And, of course, worst of all, if he picked up the magazine, he was going to be a skirt-chasing womanizer. No judgment in any of that, right? None whatsoever, right? No judgment. Anyway, so the preacher waited there anxiously behind the door. His son came in, tossed his stuff on the bed, turned around, and he looked back, and he saw these things sitting there, and he went over, and he perused them. He kind of looked at things. So he grabbed the Bible, he put it underneath his arm. He grabbed the silver dollar, he threw it in his pocket. He picked up the bottle of whiskey and took a slug while he was perusing the magazine. Oh, the preacher was like, oh, Lord, have mercy. He's going to be running for Congress. What draws our attention can sometimes tell a lot about ourselves. Anyway, let's get back to curiosity. One of the wonderful things about curiosity is that, and it is a superpower, one that we're born with, and we don't often think about it because we just think about our day-to-day. If I brought you, like we did, Conversations in Consciousness this week, which was fantastic, great stuff about curiosity came up, but we don't necessarily even think about curiosity because we're just asking the question. Even as a young baby, the very first thing we do is we start looking at our fingers, sticking them in our mouths, our toes. What are these things? It's just being curious about who we are and what we are in the world. How does this body work in the world, right? So innately we are curious because what draws our attention is going to, and as we unravel that thing, is going to show us how we can be in the world. We ask questions. Tell me, has anybody been around a 2-year-old and you've eventually just gone, just because? I mean, they never stop. They never stop. But this is part of growth. They never stop. I don't believe we've ever stopped asking questions because it's just not in our nature. There's some curiosity within us that wants to know the world better. We travel for those reasons. We go out and we dig into the ground for those reasons. We walk up to a pool. We spill the water around for the reasons because we want to know the world better, and we're just not satisfied with just because. It's not enough. It's just not enough for us. And there are some things that come into play, which are kind of unfortunate. What gets in the way of us exploring deeper and deeper and deeper into, let's say, that darkness over there? We could walk past, like in an attic, we've got this attic door. And as a kid, I think Lissa was one that spoke about an attic. And there was a curiosity about what was behind that attic door. Now, I'm not going to tell her story because I don't remember all her details, but one of the things that keeps us out of the attic is what? It's fear. Fear can get in the way of our curiosity. Not so much in our curiosity, but our follow-through on the curiosity and what can come from it once we have gone that extra step. Once we've opened the attic door, what's the first thing we see? Black. Whoa. All right. We wait for our eyes to get accustomed to it. We step our little way in, and we can see, oh, it's just a bunch of old furniture. What was I so worried about? So getting beyond that fear, because, we've seen that there's two acronyms for fear. One is forget everything and run, right? Forget everything and run, F-E-A-R. Or face everything and rise. Which one are you in favor of? I want to face everything and rise because you know what? That fear, most of the time, is just not real. So we have here that Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, he says, the first step to overcoming any fear is to concede that God is for us. This done, we have at once overcome the fear by seeing that there is nothing to be afraid of. The world is all right, and we can meet it on its own terms. So you've heard me speak about the three things that bring fear and our belief system. One of them, that I am not enough, there is not enough, and the world is a scary place. The world is not a scary place. There are tigers out there, sure. But if you're in that area where tigers are, you're going to have your eyes wide open. Just walking day to day through our streets, we have a natural instinct. But if we know that ultimately, when we rest into the divine, that the divine is for us, we can walk more easily. Yeah, that dark path that I walked in Paris between Pigalle and des Abbesses at 2 o'clock in the morning was probably not the smartest thing I've ever done in my life. But I never had any fear. I was aware, I kept my eyes open, but I didn't have any fear. What I'd been too curious about to discover was far greater than any fear I could have about walking home afterwards. And guess what? Did I ever get accosted by anything? I didn't. And I'm really not that scary. I know that nobody really wants to take me on, so to speak, which is not true. I'm actually really soft and gentle, right, Dennis? No, seriously. I was 105 pounds of dancing muscle. I was not scary, anybody, but I never did because I didn't have that fear. My desire and my knowingness of life and how it treated me overwhelmed any of that. But what it also does, the fear does stop us from looking below the surface. We really do want to dive a little deeper because, you know, what's up here is wonderful. But when we can dive to see what supports it, it's even better. And Deepak Chopra says this. He goes, relinquish your attachment to the known. Step into the unknown, and you will step into the field of all possibilities. Oh, doesn't that sound good? We step into the field of all possibilities. You will have excitement, adventure, mystery. You will experience the fun of life, the magic, the celebration, the exhilaration, and the exaltation of your own spirit. Gosh, if ever you had fear, that's the perfect way to go. I'm done with that because I'm most definitely going to, I want what Deepak has having. That's what I want to have. So there's different ways that we dive below the surface. First of all, just in the physical world. There was, last summer, I was over at 2 Steps. And I was taking a little walk. And you know what? I just don't go over the rocks into the ocean. I'm fine with walking down the boat ramp. It's kind of cool. It's kind of easy, you know. And I was down in the boat ramp, and I was down that area. I was having a grand old time. And I looked around, and there was this young woman. She must have been maybe in her early, mid-20s. And she was extremely tentative about getting in the ocean. Their friends had given her a noodle, so she had a noodle. She was kind of walking tentatively, but she was just very, very, very nervous about everything. So I noticed that, and one of my friends with me noticed too, that she had no sea shoes. She had no water shoes. So if somebody had an extra, we got her a pair of water shoes, we slipped them on her. So now, at least her footing was easier. She wasn't going to run into some lava, tear herself open. But she was still very, very, very nervous. So I grabbed a mask that I had, and I said to her, here, pop this on. And then just put your head below the surface. You know what that changed? Because in the minute that she put her head just below the surface, she could see what was underneath there. The unknown was no longer unknown. She could see what was going on. Did this change her experience? Absolutely. Just gave that minute of time to look beneath, to see what was there, gave her solid footing. The next thing, she was in the water. She was having it took her a while. She ran out of air before she came up because she was so enthralled and intrigued with this wonderful experience. So physically, we do this, you know? And yes, we put aside the little fear. We were all with her, so she had a little safety circle around her. But for us, there is more. You know, I'm standing up here, we're talking Sunday morning, and if I just talk about the physical world, you're going to go, really? Rev, where's the message? How about when we do it in our inner world? How about when we get ready to dive a little deeper inside? We're great. I'm having a great day. Everything's up here. We're good. We're going out. We're navigating the world. 6 months of just living grand, and you're like going, what are you not looking at? What is inside that is calling you to go a little deeper into your own life, into your own understanding, into your own belief system? Where do you want to go? What is your curiosity calling you to know more about you and your inner life? So in the physical world of the inner life, we can do that beautiful thing where we dived into the cells. We go deep, 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 deep into the cell. And in the very depth of the cell, we see that there's not a lot of anything going on. Pretty much as if you went all the way out into the universe, you have the same thing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about let's get to know ourselves better. Let's get in there and get to know who we are. Let's look at what is exciting that belief that you have in you. Even if it is a fear, even if it is the fear, let's look at where is that coming from? What was it that happened that imprinted this fear upon me at a time when I didn't know any better? You know, so often when we're small, something that happens is very big because we're small. And we take that imprint and we keep it with us throughout our lives. We respond, we react, we put a whole bunch of more stuff on top of us because it's all related to that one thing that happened that seemed so big. So we can take a dive. We can take a dive into that place. We can dig beneath the surface. Is it going to get a little ugly? It can. It can. We know when we dig up stuff in the ground, sometimes you can find stuff that's not so pretty. There's a worm or two. There might even be some old decomposing stuff that we don't want to deal with. This is within us as well. So it might not be pretty, but we can get to go in there and open it up and look at it. We can also look at it from a point of view as now you're an adult. What I knew back then, is that really the truth of who I am now? I'm not a little kid anymore. And if you could look at it from that point of view and see, oh, yeah, that was really big, but it's not so big. It doesn't even relate to who I am, but it's running my life. So there's a willingness to let's dive into our own inner world to see what it is that is going on. And so we dig. We dig because we want to know more about ourselves. We want to have a greater outpicturing of our belief system in the world around us. Somebody said to me the other day, well, how do I know what I'm believing? Just take a look around. Take a look around you and see what is going on in your life. Who are the people that keep showing up over and over and over again with the same issues that you are being sparked with? They might not have the same face, but they still are bringing in and of you the same reaction and the same response. That's you. That's not them. You're like, well, if I just get rid of those people, yeah, another one's going to come. Because it is work that we get to do within ourselves. So we always look into this, why is it that we want to dig within? So when we devote no time to our inner life, we lose the habit of soul. We become accustomed to keeping things at a surface level. If we fail to acquaint ourselves with our soul, we will remain strangers in our own lives. That's from John O'Donohue. We remain strangers in our own lives. And if we are here on this plane as an expression of the divine. Our job is to live life to its fullest. Truly. It is truly to live life to its fullest. God is having its pleasure through us and as us. He doesn't want us to stay locked up in a little place because we have fear from something that was imprinted on us when we were a child. Spirit is inviting us with all of these things, and our curiosity is the greatest invitation to stretch. Because even when you are sitting in a room and you don't want to go anywhere because the fireworks are going crazy outside and you think there's a war going on, there's still a desire to see them. So your curiosity can overcome all of these things, but can we turn that curiosity inward? Are we willing to take that dive? Are we willing to dig up some of that stuff? We never have to do it alone. We don't have to do any of this alone. We've been doing stuff in class. We do stuff in prayer. We do stuff in service. We never have to do this alone. And what is it that we get to know as we get to know ourselves better? What is it that is going to empower us to have a greater experience in the world as we're willing to dig up some of the old? We get to know God. We get to know the nature of Spirit in an even greater and more intimate level, because we're not blocking anything. When we're willing to dig below the surface and see what's going on, bring it up to be healed, toss it out if you don't want it, we are allowing God to show up greater in our lives, which empowers us and only grows and grows and grows, which expands our viewpoint, expands our desires, expands our experience in the world. It expands our joy and our love and our wisdom. Isn't that what we want? And all we have to do is put on a pair of goggles and look underneath one time to know that it's not all scary. Sure, if you saw that shark coming towards you, get out of the water. Anybody that says, oh no, God's got me. Yeah, no. I'm out of the water. I'll wait till that shark is gone and I will go back in, because I have a curious mind. And I am in awe of what Spirit is bringing here. I am in awe of what God has created and created us so that we can enjoy this and be a part of it. We get to revel in the wonderment of all of this. And it is our curious nature that will take us to the pools. It is our curious nature that will get us on a plane, regardless of what we think about a flying metal object. Take us to wondrous lands and go and feed ourselves with the beauty and the wonderment that's out there. This is a superpower. Curiosity most definitely is a superpower. And if nothing else, that it continues to create this wonder of how we see the world and what we can do in the world. I'm excited about it. I really, truly am. So as we discover more, so we grow. And so does the expression of God in, through, and as me grow at the same time. And if that's the only job I got to do in this world, it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good job. So as we get to know ourselves better, we get to know God. And why would we ever want to get anything in the way of that? Because even Dr. Holmes says, the fear that arises from a mental attitude which limits the possibility and the willingness of Spirit to give us all the good we so greatly desire. God is giving. Every single minute of every single day, God is giving, and the only thing that gets in the way of it is our lack of willingness to receive. Is it because we don't believe we deserve it, or are we just afraid? Are we just afraid of that extra growth spurt? Because we're like, I'm actually pretty good right now. I don't think I really want to grow anymore. This is good. No. It is our nature to grow. It is the nature of the universe to expand, and us along with it. So just remember, put aside the fear. Remember that the world is for us. God is or us. Because who would create a magnificence such as a human being and not support it 100% in every way possible? Nope. So we're loved, we're guided, we're supported, we're sustained, we're maintained, we're all of those things because we are this expression of God. Use your superpower of curiosity and go out into that world and really just be in awe every minute of every day. So I have a little something here to share with you in closing today. It is from Mark Nepo, of course, one of my favorites from the Book of Awakening. He says this: each of us is like a great untamed sea, obedient to deeper currents that are seldom visible. Knowing this gives us 3 insights worth keeping in our awareness. First, we must consider that the deepest patch of ocean is as clear as its surface wave, though it remains unseeable to the human eye that bobs above it. Second, how far can we see into the deep depends on the calmness or turbulence of the surface. And third, just as the depth and surface of the sea are inseparable, so too are the spirit and psychology of each human being. It is our deep-sounding, untamed currents that cause us to rise and swell, dip and crash. Yet that base of spirit remains unaffected by the storms that churn up the surface. It obeys a deeper order. So just remember, when everything gets really crazy on the surface, where life just seems to be overwhelming, take a dive, because you'll find out that just deeper below the surface, there is a calm waiting to welcome you in. So it is. Let us take this to prayer. So it is in this moment right here, right now, that we breathe in, recognizing the power of the divine, recognizing that there is only one source, one universal creative mind, omnipotent and omnipresent, ever creating, ever supplying, supporting, sustaining, maintaining every single one of its expressions. There's absolutely nothing that is outside of this wonderment. And I know that I am one with it. I know that we are all one with this magnificence right here, right now. I know that this activity that is the divine is the very impetus behind all that we do. It is that call that is pulling us forward to say, come and look over here. Come and see what is growing beneath this tree. Come and see what is shining behind this cloud. It is the pull to move forward in that idea of ideas that we have been given, that substance of creativity that is the divine, that is coming forward, calling to us to grow, to know more, to expand, to be what it is we want to be in the world. And so I know for each one of us as we walk our path this week, that this little bubble that is curiosity is going to jump around inside of all of our lives, and it's going to be a voice calling, come on over, it's good. We can lay aside the fear, for we know that God is for us in every minute of every day. And so I just release this prayer and ground this talk in this time together, knowing that Spirit has said yes. Yes, my beloveds, yes. It is already done, and done magnificently. For God has said yes. You are magnificent. So I just release this prayer knowing it is so. And together we claim it by saying, and so it is. So it is. Thank you. Thank you, Susanna.